Episode 577, An Influx of Visitors. Celie had dealt with Alex before, so she knew he was a man with firm principles, and she realized there was no point in arguing with him. "Okay, I understand," she said. "But can you still reserve one of the villas for me?" "I thought you were joking." Alex was surprised. "Do you really want to buy one?" "Yes, I'm serious," she assured him. "But I will have to go and arrange for some finance." She shrugged. "I'm not exactly well paid." "Okay," Alex agreed. "I'll keep one reserved for you." "Can I take a picture?" she asked. "Of course." Alex wasn't worried about people seeing the land. After all, he intended to sell the houses, and that meant people would want to see them first. "Can you keep a villa for me too?" Ethan asked. "I'd really like to buy one." "No problem," Alex said. "We are friends after all." Celia and Ethan grinned, excited to hear Alex call them his friends. "Well, I'm glad that's settled," Jessup said. "It looks like we'll all be getting a little corner of paradise." "It is lovely," Celia said. Then she sighed. "I just wish Alex would agree to teach at the academy. If I had half his strength, the world would be a much more peaceful place." After everyone had left, Will dropped by to see Alex. He had come to report on matters concerning the Baltimore Martial Arts Association, but halfway through he stopped and looked around. They were sitting outside in the middle of winter, but they weren't cold, and Will was confused. The land here seemed almost magical. Eventually, Will left, and Alex walked back toward the house. But before he went inside, his phone rang with a call from Clark. "Alex, aren't you at the Fairfax compound?" Clark asked. "I've been looking everywhere for you." Alex suppressed a sigh, wondering why he was suddenly so popular. A short time later, Clark and his daughter arrived at the mansion. "Alex, Sarah has been a bit under the weather lately," Clark said. "Would you mind taking a look at her?" Alex checked her pulse, which seemed normal. From what he could tell, Sarah had a simple cold. He knew Clark was excessively worried after her previous illness, tending to jump to the worst conclusion with every little sniffle. Clark frowned, waiting for Alex's decision. If Alex said everything was fine, he would be able to relax. "This is wonderful," Sarah said, plucking a flower and holding it to her nose, breathing in its fragrance. Startled, Clark turned to look at her, noticing their surroundings for the first time, and his eyes grew wide. "It's $500,000 for a villa here," Alex said, shameless enough to try selling property to his friends. He knew they could easily afford it. Besides, it was a bargain for what they would be getting in return. What price could you put on land that defied the seasons? Marianne had attempted to call Alex a dozen times, but now she was growing desperate. She felt helpless and alone, and she really needed his help. Unable to give up, she got into the car and headed to Birchwood House. Once she arrived, she spotted Alex straight away and hurried over to him. "Please help me," she said, wringing her hands. "Sawyer is very ill, and I don't know what to do." A tear slipped down her face. Faced with the decline of someone so important to her, she was barely holding it together. Alex was overcome with sympathy for her. He remembered how ill she had been when he had seen her at Hell World, and he was concerned she would make herself ill with worry. Wanting to help, he nodded, agreeing to go with her to see this mysterious Sawyer. They got into the car, but Marianne's hands were shaking so badly that she couldn't start the car. Realizing she was in no state to drive, Alex persuaded her to change seats, and then he settled himself in the driver's seat. Marianne gave him the address, and he started the car and drove toward Parkview Hospital. Alex glanced at Marianne, noticing how sad she seemed. She said nothing as she looked out at the passing scenery, lost in thought. This Sawyer is clearly important to her, he thought. Don't worry, he assured her, stepping on the gas pedal. He'll be okay. As long as he's still alive, I can heal him. Marianne smiled at him, blushing. Thank you. Why is he so important to you? He asked. Marianne trusted Alex, so she didn't hesitate to satisfy his curiosity. Sawyer Landon was a core member of the Rumble Club, and he had worked hard for them, making many contributions. Over 20 years ago, he had rescued Marianne when she had been kidnapped as a child. He had stormed in, taking on her abductors and saving the day. Since then, she had always seen him as a powerful protector and had always called him Uncle Sawyer. Shortly after that rescue, Sawyer had been escorting the wife of the master of the Rumble Club to visit relatives when he had been attacked by a powerful enemy. Although he had managed to defend the master's wife, he had taken the poisoned arrow meant for her, and in the confusion, he had lost the master's son. Despite everything, Sawyer had survived, but the attack had caused extensive nerve damage, leaving him unable to walk and confining him to a wheelchair for the rest of his life. Worried about him, the Rumble Club had sent him back to Baltimore to recuperate. 20 years had passed, and Sawyer had become increasingly depressed. Unable to cope with his changes in circumstances, he had also begun drinking heavily, trying to numb the pain. Although people visited him, they couldn't do anything to help, and he had almost drunk himself to death several times. For a man who had always been so active, it was difficult to accept he would never get that life back. The only bright spot in his life was Marianne, who visited him often, encouraging him to hold on. Now that he was no longer active in the Rumble Club, his former enemies had gradually become bold enough to launch attacks on him. In the last few years, there had been several attempts on his life. Despite his current condition, killing him would still be a major coup. After all, he was one of the 4 great masters of the club. Uncle Sawyer's been attacked 5 times this year, Marianne said, her voice shaking. I'm really afraid someone might manage to kill him soon. She wiped away a tear. I adore him because he saved me, and now I'm too weak to protect him in return. Another tear escaped, sliding down her face. Alex felt sorry for her, understanding now why she was so attached to Sawyer. He had saved her as a child, and now that she was an adult, she was determined to return the favor. Alex found her attitude refreshing and impressive, and he knew many people who could learn from her. Marianne had stopped speaking, so he gestured for her to continue.